to Pilates. This week we're going to be working on our legs quite a lot, glutes, some bottom and a little bit of tummy work as well. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. Just bring the feet together, come up nice and tall. We're going to go toes out, heels out, so your feet are hip width apart. And then just gently taking weight forward through the toes and backward through the heels. So you're just feeling that weight transfer from one area of the foot back to the other. And just feel where that pressure goes through the foot. And we're going to come back to a midpoint where you feel equal pressure through forefoot and hindfoot. And then from there, we're just going to gently take weight through one leg and then back through the other. Again, feeling that weight transfer through one side and the other. And then we're going to come to that midpoint where you feel equal weight through both feet. So equal weight through forefoot, hindfoot, left and right legs. We're going to lengthen up through the legs and just make sure you soften through those kneecaps. And then I'm going to get you to think about your pelvis. I want you to imagine your pelvis like a big bowl, marble at the bottom, and we're going to roll that marble forwards and backwards, feeling how far you arch and hollow down through the back, just getting the back moving gently. And when you feel how far you go in each direction, and you come to that midpoint, and that marble should feel like it's at the bottom of the bowl. So a little bit of lengthening through the back, a little bit of just pulling gently up through the front, coming to that nice neutral position. And then make sure those kneecaps are still soft. We're going to lengthen up through the spine. Really think of the back of your spine, back of the through the back, through the shoulder blades, through the back of the neck, lengthening up to the crown of the head, imagining just a thread pulling up through the crown of the head. So you're really nice and long through the spine. And again, just make sure those kneecaps are still nice and soft. And we'll just loosen off through the shoulders. Just get rid of any of that tension that's going on in the shoulders. And coming back the other way. And then we're going to lift those shoulders up towards your ears. Squeeze your shoulder blades back together so you really open up through the collarbones, and then glide those shoulders down away from your ears. So you've got nice open shoulders, nice and relaxed away from the ears. And we're going to come into foot series to begin with. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, I'm going to gently pull up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to come into a little squat. So sitting back as though you're going to sit on a chair behind you. Then we're going to lift the heels. Then we're going to lengthen up tall, and then we're going to come back down. So breathing out, breathing in, lift the heels, out as you lengthen, in as you come back down. Breathing out, in as you lift, out as you lengthen, in as you come back down. Keeping the core switched on, and make sure that the legs are aligned so that as you're squatting down, hips, knees and ankles should be in alignment. Lengthening and coming back down. Good. Breathing out, breathing in, lift the heels, breathing out, breathing in. Good. And again. Good. Keep those core muscles switched on, keep the shoulders relaxed, and keep breathing. Out, in, out, in. Good. Let's do two more. Last one. Good, well done. Okay, so from there, we're going to bring the feet really close together. And I want you to think about being nice and tall through the legs, pelvis nice and neutral, lengthen through the spine, shoulders down and back. And maybe just pop your hands onto your pelvis. So you want to keep that pelvis as still as possible. We're going to soften through our left knee, so keep that kneecap gently soft. And just slowly peel that right knee up off of the floor. And you can either work from here, keeping that toe, imagine that toe is on a £1 coin, and you're just going to twist that knee out and then coming back in again, keeping this pelvis really nice and still. Breathing out as you come out to the side, in as you come forward. If you want to go to level 2 and pop your foot onto your left shin and twist out, you can do that as well, but I really want you to keep this pelvis nice and neutral. So the tendency will want to be to twist or shift, and you're going to really think about core. Breathing out and in. Good. Softening on the left, pelvis nice and neutral. Think about lengthening through the crown of the head. Let's do 3 more on that side. Keep that control. And 3. Good, well done. And relax down. Have a little loosen off through the legs. Good. Feet together. Up nice and tall, pelvis neutral, lengthen through the spine, lengthen through the back of the neck, shoulders down. Core switched on, pulling up through the pelvic floor and through the belly button. Softening on the right, peel the left toes up, and you can either work here, breathing out and in, or if you want to challenge yourself into level 2, keep the right knee soft, breathing out and in as you come back. Good. Keep that pelvis nice and still, shoulders down, core switched on, nice and tall through that standing hip, so don't sink out into that hip, stay nice and tall, pelvis nice and neutral. And just keep that knee soft on the right. Good. Let's do 3 more. 3, 2, oh, I lost my balance, sorry. And 1, good, well done. And relax down. Good, okay, have another little loosen off through the legs. So for this one, you might want to just hold on to something. And I'll kind of work you through the levels a little bit. But again, working through the legs, we're going to keep the feet together. We're going to start on working on our left leg, pelvis nice and neutral, lengthen through the spine, core gently switched on. We're going to keep the left knee soft and peel the right heel up. And you can either stay in this position. If you want to work on one leg, you can just bring that right leg up off of the floor again. We're going to work into a little single leg dip. And I'm happy for you to go as far as you feel comfortable to go on that side. So coming up nice and tall, core switched on, lifting that leg or keeping the toes down, and then coming into a little single leg dip and coming back up again. So depending on balance, depends on how low you dip, whether you keep that toe on the floor or just for a little bit of balance. So you're not taking weight through that right leg, you're just stabilising or hold on to something. And you're trying to keep hip, knee and ankle in one line. This is my dodgy leg. So that's it. Keep your toe in contact. And try and keep in a nice straight line. So from shoulder, hip, foot, knee and foot, all the way down. Good. Let's do 2 more. Good, well done. Okay, and relax off. Good. We're going to do the other leg. And again, go with what you're comfortable with. So lengthening through the spine. Core switched on with the pelvis nice and neutral, shoulders down. We're going to soften the right kneecap, peel the left toes up off the floor, or if you want to, you can lift that leg up. And we're going to come down into a dip and back up. If you want to bring that left leg off the floor, you can do. Good. also depends a bit on ankle flexibility as well. Some people might get a lot lower than I do because my ankles are really stiff. Good. Hold on as well if you need to hold on to something. You can hold on to a chair or the wall. Those toes, just doing a little bit of balance. Two more. Last one. Good, well done. Okay, have a little loosen off, and then we're going to come into a roll down, but we're going to bring the legs wide. So come wide with the feet, toes pointing forward, and I want you to have weight through the outside edge of the foot as well. So it's easy to kind of want to lift the outside edge of the foot up, but I want you to stay flat through the foot. And from there we're going to come up nice and tall, keep the core switched on with the pelvis nice and neutral, and then from there we're going to drop chin to chest, and we're going to roll one vertebra at a time down through the spine. Keep the pelvis up tall for as long as possible. So we're really trying to open up through each individual vertebrae, one at a time. And when you can't go any further, then tip the pelvis forward, come down just as far as you're comfortable going. Don't push through anything that doesn't feel right. And as we come up, pelvis first, and then stacking up one vertebra at a time. So work in your own time, work with what's comfortable for you. We're just going to do a few of them. And I don't mind, if it just means that you come down hands to knees and back up again, that's absolutely fine. If you can go a bit further, then work with it, but keep the core switched on and keep that control, and really think about each vertebrae one at a time, moving through the spine. And then stacking up pelvis first. One vertebra at a time, keep up nice and tall, keep the shoulders down, make sure you don't stick your chin up towards the ceiling. You want to lengthen the crown towards the crown of your head towards the ceiling. Let's do one more. Good, well done. And once you finish that last one off, we'll just bring the feet in together. Good, well done. And then when you're ready, we'll come down onto the mat. And when you're on the mat, you're just going to make sure that your feet are in line with your knees, hips and shoulders as you come down onto the mat. And then from there, we'll just find a nice neutral position. So nice long back of the neck. So just make sure that your chin's not stuck up towards the ceiling. If you need a little towel or something underneath, just folded up towel underneath the back of your head, just to make sure the back of the neck's nice and long. You should just fit an orange in between chin and chest. I'm going to snuggle those shoulder blades down away from your ears, so just underneath the rib cage, and the collarbones nice and wide. And from there, just lift the hips up and lower the spine down onto the mat. Now that should make sure that you're nice and lined up. And then we're going to imagine underneath our belly button, you've got a marshmallow between the spine and the mat. And underneath the breastbone, you've got a 2p coin underneath the spine and the mat. And we're just going to squash down onto them. So using your tummy muscles to pull your spine down onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin, and then lifting up the other way. So you can just glide your fingers underneath your lower back and lengthening through the tummy muscles, working through the back muscles. Squash back down again. Lift up, arch away from the marshmallow, the 2p coin. Then you're going to come down at least halfway onto that marshmallow, maybe a little bit more if you know that you arch through that lower back. And then make sure that breastbone comes down so your spine's in contact with the 2p coin. Okay, from there we're going to come into double leg stretch. So you can either do this with keeping the feet on the floor. So we're going to take a breath in as you breathe out, engage through the core muscles, and then we're going to float both arms up towards the ceiling. And you can either work here, so you're breathing out, lengthen through both arms, one leg, circle the arms around as the leg comes back. So you're doing two big capital Ds back to back, two big semicircles back to back with the arms and alternating the leg movement. And we're going to keep everything really nice and neutral. So keeping the pelvis nice and still, making sure you're not lifting off the belly button or off the marshmallow or off the 2p coin. Or if you're happy to go to that next level, we're going to take a breath in as you breathe out, float one leg to tabletop, breath in as you breathe out, bring the other leg to join it. And then from here, breathing out, lengthen it opposite, one leg, both arms away, in as you come back. Out as you lengthen, in as you come back, breathing out. And with this, make sure as you're lengthening your leg, you're not lifting off that marshmallow, that 2p coin. If you are, it's too hard to control. Bring your feet back down onto the floor and lengthen from there. And you can make it, again, challenge yourself as much as you want, but you're making sure you're keeping that pressure down onto the marshmallow, the 2p coin. If you push going more towards the ceiling, it's slightly easier through the back. Going more towards the floor, so your legs parallel with the floor, and it's harder. So you can kind of find a position through kind of that range that works for you, that feels like you're challenging yourself, but you're not lifting up off of that marshmallow, off of that 2p coin. Breathing out as you lengthen, in as you come back. Good. Make sure you don't creep that lower back off of that marshmallow. Use those tummy muscles to pull down. Good. And don't lift up of that 2p coin. So again, if your shoulders are not very happy doing big circles, then you can do smaller circles and work where you're comfortable. Let's do one more on either side. Good, well done. Have a little hug of those knees in towards your chest. If your feet are on the floor, just bring one knee in towards your chest and then the other to join it. And just hugging those knees in. Good. And then pop your hands onto your knees. Just a big circle of those knees over your chest. And back in the other direction. And then hug those knees into your chest, lower one leg down, bring the other one down to joint. Good. So we're going to come back down into your nice neutral position, and we're going to come into hip twist level 2. So just make sure the neck's nice and long, shoulders down. You're going to come down onto that nice neutral position, onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin, and feet are in line with knees, hips and shoulders. So from here, we're going to take a breath in as you breathe out, engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. I'm going to take a breath in as you breathe out, I'm going to float one leg to tabletop. Breath in as you breathe out, bring the other leg to join it. And you're going to imagine that your shins are the front and back cover of a book. And from there, we're going to keep the pelvis nice and neutral, so try not to increase the pressure through one side or the other of the back. Breath in, and as you breathe out, you're going to open the front cover of the book. Breathe out, breathe out to open the back cover of the book, in to come back again. So you're alternating front cover, back cover. I'm just going to change my position so you can see opening and closing. Breathing out, breathing in. And as you bring your knees and shins out to the side, you're going to make sure that the pressure on that side of your back doesn't increase. So you're using your core muscles to stabilise your back on the mat. And if your arms are by your side and you're finding it quite easy, you can either bring your hands onto your waist so you can feel whether you're rocking at all, or across your chest so that you're then not helping to stabilise you. Open up through the knee and coming back in. And the foot stays in line with the knee. So it's easier to twist and keep the foot in the centre, but make sure that that foot comes out in line with the knee. That whole front cover of the book. It's a hardback book. Those pages don't bend. We're going to do 2 more on either side. Last ones. Keep that control. Good, well done. Lower one leg to the floor. Bring the other one down to join it. We're going to lengthen through the legs, lengthen through the arms. Just have a big stretch through. Good. And then if you bring your arms back down by your side, bend one leg up, bend the other leg up. Make sure they're in line with knees and hips and shoulders. Back of the neck nice and long, shoulders down. If you need to, just lift and lower through the back. And then we're going to come again into that nice neutral position onto that marshmallow and that 2p coin. And then we're going to come into single leg circles. So again, working through the hip gently. I'm going to show you level 1 and then level 2. And again, just work with what's comfortable for you. If you need a break, then have a little break and just have a stretch out if you need to. So, hands by your side to begin with. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, pull in through the belly button, up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to float the left leg to tabletop. Now level 1 is here, and you can just work here. So you're going to imagine that from your knee pointing up towards the ceiling, you've got a pencil and it's going to draw a little circle on the ceiling. So breathing out as you circle away, breathing in as you come back, and you want your right leg to stay nice and still, and again the pressure of your back on the mat to stay equal between both sides. Now if you want to go into level 2, you can lengthen through that leg. And if you need a little soft knee bend, you can do. And we're going to draw circles on the ceiling with the toe instead. But make sure it's not an ankle circle. You're moving from your hip. So the ankle stays nice and still. The circle comes from the hip. Keeping this nice and still. Pressure onto the back of your back onto the mat, nice and still. And the right leg stays nice and still as well. So no clawing toes on that right leg. If your arm's by your side and it's quite easy, then again you can bring them up onto the waist or across your chest. Change direction of those circles. Keep breathing. Make sure you're not cheating by using that ankle to draw the circles instead of your hip. 2 more. Good, well done. Okay, bend that leg back to tabletop if you're lengthened through, and then relax onto the mat. Just come back into that nice neutral position. Engage through the core muscles. Breath in. As you breathe out, float the other leg to tabletop, and again you can either circle here, or you can lengthen through the leg and circle. From the hip, remember, no ankle circles. Good. And if you're finding that too much of a strain, come back into that shortened leg with the knee bent at 90 degrees, and you can circle there instead. Good. Change direction of those circles. Keep that control, that same pressure of your back on the mat. We're going to do 2 more. Last ones. Good, well done. Bend back to tabletop of your legs straight. Relax that foot down to the floor. Just have a little arch and hollow through that lower back. Come back into that nice neutral position on that marshmallow, that 2p coin. And then, so for this next exercise, we're going to do leg lengthens and lifts. But if you want to come into a shortened leg position, so there's less load, you can do. Just make sure you're nice and neutral onto the mat. But the other really important thing for this is that as we continue to do those lower and lifts through that leg, that we don't increase the pressure of your back onto the mat on the side of the leg that you're moving. So the tendency is to want to twist and have more pressure on that side, but I want you to try and really use those core muscles to keep yourself nice and neutral on the mat. So in this position with both feet on the floor, take a mental visualization of how much pressure you feel of your back onto the mat through both sides. You want to keep it the same. So breath in as you breathe out, engage through the core muscles. Breath in as you breathe out, float one leg to tabletop, and you can either keep it here and tap that toe down onto the floor and back up, or if you're happy to, we're going to lengthen the leg up. We're going to breathe out as you lower the foot down to the floor, breathe in as you come back up. Breathe out, lower down, breathe in, come back up. Good. So just be really conscious of how much pressure is going through that left side, if you're using your left leg, the left side of the body onto the mat. You want to keep it the same, left and right, and that's coming from those core muscles. If it's too much, you're feeling it too much through the front of the hip, then come into that shortened leg position and just tapping the toe down and coming back up. Breathing out, breathing in. Again, keep that pressure the same. We're going to do 2 more. Good. Bend to tabletop if your leg's long, and then relax that foot onto the floor. Have a little arch and hollow again of your back onto the mat. Come into that nice neutral position on that marshmallow, that 2p coin. Breath in as you breathe out, engage through the core muscles. Breath in as you breathe out. We're going to float the right leg to tabletop. You can either keep it there or you can lengthen through. Breathe out as you lower down, in as you control up. Good. Keep the left leg soft on the mat, knee pointing up towards the ceiling, and the pressure through the back the same on both sides. Remember, if you're feeling it too much through the front of the hip, shorten the leg and tap the toe instead. Just less, it shortens the lever, so lessens the load going through those hip flexors. Good, let's do 2 more. And 1, good, bend to tabletop, lower the leg down, and again just have a lengthen through the legs, lengthen through the arms, breath in, big stretch through, and as you breathe out, relax heavy into the mat, breathing in, reaching fingertips and toes away from one another, breathing out, relaxing down into the floor. Good, 1 more time, big breath in. And out, relaxing through. Good, well done. Bring your arms back down onto the floor, float one leg up, and then bring the other to join it. And we're going to bring the feet relatively close to your bottom now. So as far as your knees are comfortable to go, bring your feet up close to your bottom. And from there, we're going to work into our shoulder bridge. And I want you to really fire up through your bottom and your tummy muscles as you do this. So we're imagining that each vertebrae in your spine, we're going to move individually. So if you picture your spine like a string of pearls, and each vertebrae is 1 pearl on that string of pearls, and we're going to peel up from the tailbone up. So start with your arms by your side. Just make sure the neck's nice and long, shoulders are down. Coming onto that marshmallow, onto that 2p coin. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. And then from there, we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to squash down onto that marshmallow. Feel that coccyx and sacrum start to peel up off of the mat. Imagine those pearls, one vertebra at a time. You're going to start squeezing your bottom, shorten through the tummy muscles, and peeling that spine, one vertebra at a time, as you lift up off of the mat. Now you're going to lift the hips so they're nice and level, but don't lift too much through that breastbone. So I want you to keep the back long and keep a little bit of tummy muscle work going on there as well. And then from there, we're going to lower down breastbone onto 2p coin to begin with, and then one vertebra at a time. Shorten through the tummy, squeeze through the bottom, and peel each vertebrae down one at a time. And take your time. Don't mind if it's a bit shuddery and jerky. That's fine, because it just means that you're moving, but your muscles are struggling to control it. But the more you do it, the better, the smoother it will get. So pushing down onto that marshmallow, lifting through the coccyx, sacrum, peeling one vertebra at a time as you come up off of the mat. Don't lift too high, so I don't want you feeling it through your lower back. I want you to squeeze your bottom and just keep a little bit of length, tension through those tummy muscles. And then coming down, breastbone first, shorten through the tummy muscles, squeeze through the bottom and roll back down. Good. Keep going at your own time. Make sure you're breathing as well, but really, I want you to really mindfully place the spine. So maybe close your eyes and picture that spine, individual vertebrae, lifting and lowering one at a time, shortening through the tummy, squeezing through the bottom, and controlling down. Good. Let's do 2 more. I want you to feel those bottom muscles working as you're controlling through that movement. Make sure your back's not working too hard, so keep the bottom and tummy, and then really control that last one down as much as you can, one vertebra at a time. Shortening through the tummy, squeezing through the bottom, and peel that spine down. Good, well done. So once you've finish that last one off, we're then just going to come in and do some work on our glutes in this position. So you can either bring your arms up towards the ceiling, clasp your hands together, pop your hands across your chest. Keep those feet nice and close to your bottom. So we're not going to worry about peeling that spine this time. We're really going to think about working through the bottom and pushing hips towards the ceiling. So we're going to lift up. And in this position, just make sure you're not arching. So I want you to be nice and long through the back, not lifting up too much onto the top of the shoulders. So from this position, we're going to breathe in, tap the bottom down, squeeze, push those hips up towards the ceiling. Breathe in, tap down, up, squeeze and lift. Just tap the bottom down. As soon as it touches, squeeze and lift up. Really push those hips up. Don't arch through the back. So think about keeping that breastbone down slightly. Because if you're lifting through too much through the breastbone, you'll start working through the back. And I want you to feel it through your bottom muscles. Let's do 2 more. Then we're going to lift those hips up, and then I want you to twist through the waist, tap one bottom cheek down to touch the mat, squeeze and lift up. Twist the other side, tap down, squeeze and lift up. Keep the knees pointing up towards the ceiling as much as you can. We're twisting through the waist, tap, squeeze and lift. Twist, tap, squeeze and lift. Good. So we're getting those squeezing through the glutes, so really working through the glutes, but also getting that rotation through the waist. Good. Keep those knees pointing up towards the ceiling. Should be feeling that through those bottom muscles. Good, we're going to do 2 more on either side. Last one. Good. Lower down. Relax your arms down. Lengthen your right leg. Hug that left knee in towards your chest. Good, well done. And then from there, just as far as you're comfortable to, so work with what you're comfortable doing. Allow that knee to come away from your chest slightly. You're going to pop your right hand on the outside of the left knee. Bring that left arm out wide, and then just gently allow that knee to come over towards the opposite side. And just as far as you feel able to go, but just open up through that left side. And just allow yourself to relax and breathe into that position. Good, one more breath in there. And then you can support that knee as you come back up onto your back. And lower that left foot onto the floor. Lengthen the leg away from you. Slide your right knee in towards your bottom, and then bring it up towards your chest. And then from there, just gently hug towards your chest for a moment. Good. And then from there, you're going to just pop your left hand on the outside of your right knee. Bring your right arm out wide and gently allow that knee to come across to the left side. Opening up through the right bottom cheek, right waist. Good. And allow yourself to breathe into that position. Try and relax into that position. One more breath in there, and then gently bring that knee back through to the centre, lower it down onto the floor. Good, well done. And we're going to turn onto our side and then come up onto all fours. And we're just going to carry on working through hips and glutes in this position. So just bring your knees underneath your hips, and your hands are going to be slightly in front of your shoulders. You're going to just make sure that those shoulders are pulled down away from your ears, and you're just going to gently push your breastbone away from the mat. And then just have a little arch and hollow through the spine, come into that nice long spine position. And then just also make sure that your neck stays as a nice long extension of your spine, that you're not sinking down or lifting up as well. But think about that spine continuing all the way through to the top of the crown of the head. So from there, we're just going to do some big circles through the hips. So you're going to engage through those core muscles, lift the right knee off the mat, and then imagine that knee drawing a big circle all the way round and back. Really opening up through the hip. You can twist through the pelvis. Good. And then change direction of those circles. Good. Don't sink into your shoulders. We'll do one more there. Good. Well done. And then just reset through shoulders, core, and then with the left knee, we're going to gently lift it up and do big circles through that left hip. Good, we're going to change direction of those circles. Good, one more. And then then relax that foot down onto the floor. Good, okay, so from here we're then going to work into those glutes a little bit more. So we're going to keep the hands where they are, drop the shoulders down, make sure that pelvis is nice and neutral, nice along spine. We're going to engage with the core muscles and just bring one leg up to 90 degrees so that you're lifting through this bottom cheek on the right. I don't want you twisting through the pelvis, so just make sure the pelvis stays nice and neutral and you lift that knee up. And then from there we're going to do little pulses, taking the foot towards the ceiling, so heel towards the ceiling, breathing out and in as you come back down, trying to use that bottom muscle. Make sure you're not arching through the lower back, so we're lifting through the bottom. We're going to do 3 more. 2 and 1. Good, well done. Relax down. I'm going to do the other side. So we're going to keep the core switched on, lift the left leg, heel towards the ceiling, little pulses. Breathe out as you push up. Good. Bottom, not lower back. So making sure you're keeping that control. Two more. Good, nice, well done. Those bottoms should be well and truly worked. Just have a little sit back onto your heels. Walk those fingertips away, allow your forehead, breastbone to come down onto the mat. Good, one more breath in there. And then gently come back up onto all fours. Now we're going to come into like a modified pigeon pose to try and open up through the hips. But if you know that your hip isn't going to like this, I'm going to show you an alternative in a moment. So if you want to give this pigeon one a go, we're going to cross your right leg so it's in front, the ankle's in front of the left knee. And then we're going to glide that left knee back, so that as you come down, and I want you to try and keep the pelvis nice and neutral, so it's really easy to kind of want to sit onto that right bottom cheek, but you want to keep that right hip near to the left, that's right, keep your left hip near to your right foot. Doesn't help, but I'm not very good at my left foot, right, at the best of times. And then we're going to hold that position. You can either lift it up, or if you want to come down onto elbows, or even forehead towards the floor, you can do. If you know that that's not suitable for you, hold that there. But if you're comfortable in that position, if you know that's not suitable, then cross your right ankle over your left knee. You can bring that left knee towards you and push your right away, and you should feel it through your right bottom cheek. So that's your alternative if you know that your hip doesn't like being loaded in that flex position. It's important that you know you do what your body is kind of willing to do rather than forcing it into something that it's not comfortable doing. There's always it's finding that balance between good pain and bad pain, isn't it? And normally you know when something feels, generally people are pretty good at knowing when something's a good pain that kind of is a stretch, and a pain that is saying your body really doesn't like it, it's not good for me. So listen to your body. Good, one more breath in there. Good. And then gently come back up onto all fours. We're going to do the other side. So cross your left ankle in front of your right knee. Slide that right leg back. Need a bit more space. And try and keep your right hip crease near that left heel, and then coming down into that stretch. And so if you can hold that, or if you want to do it in this position, left ankle over right knee, Bring the right knee towards you and push the left knee away. You should feel it through your left bottom cheek. Keep breathing. Work gently into that stretch. Hold it for one more breath there. Good. And then gently coming up. I'm going to lie down onto our backs now. And I just want you to bring your right knee towards you and place your hands underneath your knee. We're going to lengthen through that leg until you feel a stretch through the back of the leg. So that might be here, and that's fine. Go with what you're comfortable doing. You might come up straight, you might bring that leg up towards you, but just finding a position where you're working into a stretch and it's strong but comfortable, relatively comfortable, no pain. Hold it for one more breath. Good, gently bend that knee and lower it down onto the floor. We're going to bring the left knee towards you, lengthen through the left leg until you feel a stretch. Hold it there. Good, well done. One more breath in, and then gently relax that leg and lower the foot down. Bring your feet as wide as the mat. So feet nice and wide, knees are wide. So you're going to bring your arms out wide too, and we're going to roll. Imagine your thighs are like windscreen wipers. You're going to drop them down to one side. So you can lift up off of the mat. And just opening up through the hip on that top side of the body, but also maybe through the waist, through the chest, depending on where you're feeling tight. Your shoulders should be flat down onto the mat. If you want to increase that stretch, you can place your bottom foot onto that top thigh, and it will just increase that rotation through the front of the hip. Really open up through there. If that's not comfortable, then don't do it. One more breath in there, and then gently relax that foot back down. Bring your knees back through to the center. We're going to roll them to the other side. And again, only if it's comfortable to you, but if you want to increase the stretch, you can pop that bottom foot onto the top thigh and just open up. Keep the shoulders flat. You can lift the hip up. Just really feel it around that top hip. Good, one more breath in there. And then gently you can uncross that foot and bring those knees back through to the center. Good. Lift up through the hips, bring your feet together. I'm going to lengthen down through one leg, lengthen through the other. Take both hands up towards the ceiling. And we're just going to do a big side stretch in this position. So From here, you're going to walk the feet to the left side of the mat. Shuffle your hands and maybe shoulders a little bit to the left side of the mat, but you're going to keep your hips and shoulders flat onto the mat. And then you can either hold it here if that's comfortable for you and you feel like getting a nice stretch, or you can hold onto your right wrist with your left hand and just gently bring that right hand across a little bit more, so really opening up. And you can keep the legs straight but cross your right ankle over your left ankle. And again, that will just open up a little bit more through the outside of that right leg, maybe outside of the waist. So, big banana stretch opening up through that right side. Good, hold it for one more breath. Then gently uncross the legs, let go of the wrist. We're going to shuffle the hands and shoulders back to the centre and walk the feet back to the centre. Just realign so you're nice and long again. Walk the feet across to the right side of the mat. Shoulders and hands across to the right side of the mat. You're going to hold onto your left wrist with your right hand, and you can cross your left ankle over your right ankle. And big opening stretch through the left side this time. A nice big breath, really filling up the base of the lungs, because as you breathe in, you should feel it increasing that stretch as the ribs widen. Good. One more breath in there. Good, well done. Uncross the hands, uncross the legs, walk yourself back through to the centre of the mat. And bring your arms down by your side. Allow yourself to just relax down heavy into the mat. So it might be that your palms turn up, that your toes turn out, and you just relax heavy there. And we're just going to take 3 big breaths in there. And again, big breath in. One more. Nice, well done. And just, you can either stay there for a little bit, or when you're ready, you can just slowly come up into sitting. We are done for today, guys. Good work, well done. And I'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.